My name is Brianna. I am 20 years old, and I am a mentally ill creative. I am very nervous about doing this thing for a couple of reasons. The first reason being that I already tried to do it about 3 times. The first time, my nice camera broke. The second time, my backup camera ran out of batteries, and I'm too poor to get new batteries right now. So, there's that. The third time, I settled for this webcam, and I just rambled too much. I just wasn't, I did it, and I wasn't feeling it, so, yeah. Fourth time's the charm, hopefully. The second reason I'm nervous, though, is that I tried to get back into the YouTube thing about a year ago, and there was a certain person out there on the internet who got very upset at me for I've come to understand it as I basically made a hypothesis and spoke as if it was fact. Like, I had some hypotheses and opinions, and I just spoke as if they were the truth, and tried to do research, but I didn't go as in-depth as I could have. And so this time around, I don't want to speak as if my opinions and hypotheses are fact. I want to be very clear and just make sure everyone knows that I'm not trying to be a fact machine. These are just, I have opinions and thoughts and feelings about things, and I would like to speak on them. Anyway, speak on what? What am I talking about, right? Basically, this is the first video in a little vlog series I am creating. This is a vlog series where I will be focusing on the relationship, or alleged relationship, more on that later, between being creative and being mentally ill. It is going to be part semi-daily vlog, in which I will basically just talk at you guys about how I'm feeling and how I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, and how my mental health influences my creativity as an artistic person. And yeah, and it's also going to be part interview series, I suppose. I am occasionally going to have people that I know come on here who are also mentally ill and creative persons, and have their input, and ask them, just questions about it, and see how they feel, so it's not just, my ignorant ass talking to you the whole time. I'm going to be answering some questions for my first semi-daily vlog. And these questions are also going to be the questions that I ask, future guests or whatever. So, without further ado, I'm going to interview myself. First question, who are you and what do you create? I am Brianna Carmel, and I'm a musician, mainly a vocalist. I'm just a vocalist who occasionally fucks around on guitar, really, and occasionally, once in a while I'll pick up a bass or a ukulele or something, but yeah, mostly a front person or whatever. If you're interested in hearing any of the bands that I've been in, there will be links in the description. in the middle of trying to get a new one going at the moment. But yeah, updates on that soon. Oh yeah, and I'll put my solo stuff in the description too. Just because I'm feeling nice. Next question. What mental illness or illnesses have you been diagnosed with? I have been diagnosed with, well, first I believe I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, as well as generalized anxiety disorder, and later, like, those two diagnoses came when I was about between the ages of 11 to 13, and when I was about 15 or 16, I was diagnosed with PTSD. Next question. Have you ever been treated? Have you ever tried therapy, medication? If so, what were your experiences with the types of treatment you tried? It's like 3 questions in one, but that's okay. I have tried a few different forms of treatment, and I am currently on antidepressants. I am prescribed Lexapro and Abilify. When I'm on the right dose, I feel great, you know. At the moment, I have a feeling that my doses are too high. The Lexapro in particular, I suppose. I'm on 20 milligrams of Lexapro. And so I've been cutting those in half and taking 10 milligrams, and I'm gonna call a doctor soon and make sure that's okay. But yeah, that's my experience with medication. Well, not my whole experience, but I'll get into that in another video. I have done therapy, or I have been in therapy, I should say. At the moment, see, this is really unfortunate. I had a therapist that I really loved, and that I just really connected with, and she really, I felt, genuinely understood me. And she was an EMDR therapist, which, if you don't know, eye movement desensitization therapy. I believe that's correct. If not, I will correct myself down here. But it's a type of therapy for PTSD. And yeah, she was lovely, but after, I don't know, I don't think I even saw her for a full year. But after a while, she unfortunately had to retire for a variety of reasons. And I've kind of been hopping around therapists since then. I haven't quite found one who I feel, I don't know, truly understands me. As angsty as that sounds, I don't know, that's what you gotta do with therapists, really. So I'm on a break from all that at the moment, but I'm probably gonna try to get back in there with therapy soon, because, I don't know, I probably need it. Do you find mental illness to be found more often in creative types? Why or why not? I did some reading about this before, before I started this series, or more like when I got the idea to start this series. But basically, it seems that, the general consensus is that there is no conclusive link between creativity and mental illness. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna speak on my own experiences for a minute. Well, full disclosure, I have PTSD because of a few things, but the first thing was something traumatic that happened to me when I was very young. But I didn't really, I was young, I was like 3 years old. I couldn't process it for a while. And I have been into singing for literally as long as I can remember. So, as a child, it wasn't necessarily it wasn't a conscious choice I made, like, oh, I'm gonna use singing as a coping mechanism. I just genuinely thought it was so fun, and I kind of made a leap there regarding coping mechanisms. But yeah, I don't know, I guess I didn't make the conscious choice to be a singer because of what happened to me. And it wasn't till later that I started writing about, the things that traumatized me, the things that really hit home for me. And I don't know, I guess all things considered, I was still sort of young when I started doing that. I was about 14, but I had been singing, basically my whole life before this. And I don't know, I guess my point is that I was singing before I could process, any kind of mental illness or emotional turmoil. I very well could have been mentally ill at the time, but, it was just something I thought was fun. It wasn't, I feel like there's this stereotype, I suppose, of, artists going through anguish and that, inspiring their art, and I fit that stereotype to an extent, but that's not how I started. I just started this because it was fun, and I basically think that, I don't know, I guess the reason I kept with it is because I had a lot to express, but at the same time, and having a lot to express definitely influences your art, but at the same time there are people that have a lot to express who don't have that talent at all. So it's like, I don't think struggles or being mentally ill makes you more likely to be creative necessarily, or even vice versa. I just think if you have a lot to express, you're probably pretty likely to, take up some kind of art, but not necessarily, not much more likely than the average person. Whatever that means, whatever average or normal is. I don't really know what I'm saying anymore. That's honestly a hard question to answer, but I hope that all made sense. Next question: in what ways does your mental illness cause you to struggle in your personal life? What are your coping strategies for times when you're struggling? This is a really funny question because this is around the time, my third attempt at filming this video became shit when I attempted to answer this question, because I don't know, I just focused too much on my depression and got really sad. I suppose I was also kind of down because I'd been attempting to do it and failed, and then went right into doing it again instead of giving myself a break. And I don't know, when things like that happen, I become very depressed, and it's hard for me to seem, I don't know, because I'm an entertainer, I really, I think a lot about how I present myself, and if I'm feeling depressed, I won't want to go on stage, I won't want to put a camera on my face. I just won't, I don't like presenting myself to the world like that. Yeah, so regarding depression, that's one answer. And anxiety affects me similarly, but it's a little bit more severe. I can push through depression a little bit easier than I can push through anxiety, because when I'm anxious, everything feels scary, overwhelming, and that really hinders my productivity, like, because I forgot to mention this, I also book shows. I am a show promoter. And I feel so awful sometimes because there will be times when I just get, you know, very anxious and feel too overwhelmed to like respond to all my messages like regarding booking shows right away, because I don't know, I get anxious about people expecting things from me, and instead of like solving the problem I just procrastinate. And yeah, that can also be applied to a few things in my life. Instead of solving the problem, I just procrastinate because of anxiety. It's pretty great. PTSD actually hasn't been too bad in a while. So remember, I have to like think a bit to remember how that affects me. I suppose it's tough to address how my PTSD affects me because, you know, trauma is a very personal thing. One way that PTSD affects me is that I'm just gonna go into one of many ways in which my PTSD affects me. I'm probably gonna make a whole video about my PTSD later. This is sort of two things, I suppose. I was in an abusive relationship, and some after effects of that are, I absolutely become distraught when people do things that can be perceived as passive-aggressive. And whether they are passive-aggressive in reality is sort of, honestly, it's like a hit or miss. Like a 50-50 chance. But there's that. But because of that, or I suppose because my ex was so passive-aggressive all the time, and sometimes overtly aggressive, I was, you know, put in a place where I didn't feel like I could tell them when I was upset or angry. And so now, when I do become upset or angry, it's so much more of a big deal than like it used to be. Like, I am literally unable to stop myself from yelling now, and that didn't used to be a thing, and now it's a thing. And sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, I just raised my voice and I didn't mean to, and that's really bad, and I need to self-evaluate, and it's hard to control my emotions now. I have 3 different mental illnesses, so I'm going to move on to the next part of this question because this is taking way too long to answer. Coping strategies for times when you're struggling. Well, as you can tell, I quite enjoy doing my makeup. Honestly, just anything that I really have to focus on to occupy or stimulate my brain, whether it's like doing my makeup or playing guitar, or sometimes I'll just like listen to music with headphones and really try to like listen to everything. And sometimes if I'm feeling good enough, like at a certain baseline, I suppose, planning shows really helps me feel, I don't know, it occupies me and, you know, forces me to focus, and it also makes me feel productive, so it's like, you know, a double whammy. I also am a medical marijuana patient. Yeah, I live in California, and I recently got my card renewed. I spoke to a doctor, and he said it was valid that I smoke weed for anxiety. As well as like appetite problems and a variety of things, really. You know, it's obviously not for anyone, just for me personally. Like, I smoke marijuana instead of like taking Xanax or something. Like when I'm really, you know, if I'm just having a super on edge day for like, you know, and nothing, how do I put this? When there's no logical reason for me freaking out, so nothing logical can calm me down. That happens to me quite often, and in those times, weed is often the only thing that calms me down. So yeah, I'm honestly super thankful that I live in a state where this is legal. And honestly, talking to people really helps. I am very fortunate that I have a boyfriend and several very good friends that I can talk to on a regular basis. And, you know, not everyone has that, but I'm very lucky that I do. If you don't have that, I'm pretty sure there's online counseling. I don't know if it costs money. If I can find a free one online, I will put it in the description. Next question, how does your mental illness impact your creativity? It's very strange. It hinders it at first, but once I've processed how I'm feeling, like words will just pour out of me, you know, especially if the song I'm writing to really fits my mood. Like, yeah, it's very strange. And, you know, once in a blue moon, I'll get so depressed that I'll just have writer's block for ages, but I'm pretty fortunate that doesn't happen very often. In fact, I don't think it's happened. I think the last time it happened is when I got out of my abusive relationship, and once I cut that person off, the creative juices came flowing back. So there you have it. And next question, how are you feeling today? I'm feeling very tired because I just got home from work and decided to film this video. But other than that, I'm feeling very good. I am feeling good after deciding to adjust my dosage a little bit, which I do not recommend without talking to a doctor first. I'm honestly really stupid for doing that, but that's what I did, and I'm feeling good. I am very happy that I got to see some of my friends at work tonight, as well as earlier today, and I'm very happy that, I don't know, my life is just, you know, it's okay right now, and I know that most of the time, and sometimes my brain just malfunctions anyway, but I feel really able to appreciate it right now, and that feels good. So, those are all the questions. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, or evening, or whatever it is for you. Until next time.
I hope you'll be there each morning when I wake up, and I know that I need this. I'm learning how to grow up, to fall down, to fall down, to fall down and get back up. I dreamt you cold and woke up angry.